Is it recording?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so today we're going to learn the basics of mallet percussion. The first thing we're going to talk about is what kind of instrument we're playing on. This is a marimba. The bars are made of wood, and it goes down pretty low, so that's our lowest note. Since we're using a marimba, we're going to use yarn mallets. It's really important that we match the right kind of mallet to the instrument so that we don't damage the bars when we play. So we're going to pick up one of our yarn mallets and go over the 7 checkpoints of our grip. It's really similar to what we learned with snare drum, if you remember any of that, with some slight changes. The first thing is actually different from snare drum. Your pivot point, instead of being at the back of the mallet, is going to be almost halfway up, around here. So there's your pivot point, and then your fulcrum is created the same way by putting your thumb and your pointer finger together on the side. So make sure these fingers are pressed together. Right. And then your back fingers are wrapped slightly tighter around the mallet than you would on a snare drum, but you don't want to squeeze it too hard either. Think about it as like there's a tiny little mouse inside your hand, and you want to keep him inside without hurting him. Our next checkpoint is the heel of our hand. So if you turn your hand over, your mallet should be crossing out down the heel of your hand by your wrist. So if you need to change that angle, go ahead and do that. Yours looks good. Next we have our palms, where on snare drum we would play with our palms parallel to the floor. We're going to play mallets with our hand at a 45-degree angle so that our thumb is facing up and it's more of like a relaxed parallel. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then let's talk about beating spots. There are 2 things to remember when we're talking about beating spots. One of them is where on the bar you're going to strike. Where the strings cross through at the top and bottom of the bar are called nodes, and if you hit there, it doesn't produce much sound. At the same time, if you hit in the very center of the bar, then your tone quality isn't quite as good. So our beating spot is going to be slightly underneath the center of the bar, and that's where we'll probably get our best sound. The other thing to remember with mallets is that these bars don't offer any kind of rebound like a practice pad or a snare drum would, so we need to create an artificial rebound. And the way we do that is that when we start up high, we strike, and then the mallet returns right to where it was. So we start high, play, and end high at the same height. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Go ahead and try that slowly. Yeah, exactly. One more time. Awesome. And then our last checkpoint for the grip is that our wrists need to be the proper distance from the instrument. So stick out your pinky and touch it to one of the bars, and that's where your wrist is going to stay when you play. So your wrist will rotate and move side to side, but it shouldn't be moving up and down or back and forth. We call that pinky distance. So your wrist stays pinky distance from the instrument. Another thing to remember about our posture and our grip is the rule of elbow. It's the same thing you would do on a snare drum, where your elbows should be relaxed at your sides and they shouldn't be too far back or pushed too far forward in front of your body. Mm-hmm. Awesome. And stand maybe with your feet a little wider apart. Awesome. Hold up one hand like this so I can see your grip. Make sure you keep your thumb and your forefinger together. That looks great, Kate.
How do you maintain the pinky distance if your beating spot is not where it ought to be?
I guess you could think of it not so much as a distance, but as a height. So, since you need to make your beating spot slightly below center, you'll have to move your wrist back, but it shouldn't move much higher than pinky distance. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Okay, so now we're going to talk about our basic stroke. Okay. It's really simple. It's the same thing you would do on a snare drum, except we create our rebound. Okay. So all the motion comes from your wrist. You don't really do much with your elbows. So you would strike down so that the head of the mallet hits the bar, and then in the same beat, bring it back up to our starting position. And the speed at which you go down is the same at which you come up. So you wouldn't have a stroke that looks like that. You want it to be even. Go ahead and try a few
Do our
of those.
fingers stay closed?
Yes.
It's a little different than snare drum.
Exactly. Yeah, that looks good. Pick up your other mallet. Make sure our grip matches on both of those. Cool. Now try that same note on your left hand only. That looks good, Kate. Can you play a C for me? Awesome. Make sure we keep our thumb and our forefinger together, alright? Okay. So let's go back to our right hand and practice a few repeating right hand strokes. So go ahead and let your left mallet hang out. We're just going to practice some right hand at whatever speed you feel comfortable. Make sure your back fingers aren't too loose around the mallet. That looks really good, Kate. Okay, let's try our left hand. Remember to keep our thumb and our forefinger together. Try and keep your elbow as still as you can while you play. Just like that. Awesome. So let's practice those with a metronome. We're going quarter note equals 60. And we're going to do 8 on our right hand, 8 on our left hand, 8 on right, and 8 on left. Sound good? Okay. And stay on a C for all of those. So I will count you off. 1, 2, ready, and.
I forgot what I was counting.
That's okay. Do you want to start over?
Sure.
Okay. 1, 2, ready, and. Awesome. It looks really good. I really love that the speed of your stroke and then rebound is the same. I really like that. One thing that I would like to correct is just to make sure that the height between our right hand and our left hand are the same. Your right hand looks really consistent, and then on your left hand it sort of starts to drift a little bit higher than the right as you play. So why don't you try just 8 on your right and 8 on your left and keep that in mind. All right. 1, 2, ready, and. That was definitely closer. Try it one more time. I'm going to hold my mallet above yours, and you want to make sure that both sticks hit my mallet at the same height. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, ready, and. Yeah, that looked a lot better. So now we're going to do some work with alternating hands. It's the same mechanics either way, but now instead of doing right and left repeated, we're going to do right, left for 2 measures of 4/4. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So let's play it together once, and then you can perform it on your own. All right. 1, 2, ready, and. Did I keep going too long?
I think I stopped early.
Okay, let's do it one more time together. And make sure your left mallet doesn't drift any higher than the right. All right. 1, 2, ready, and. I think we did 4 measures, but that's okay. More practice never hurt anyone. Yeah, I really like how that looks. You've already made a ton of progress. I think the last thing we're going to do is to do 8 repeated notes on a hand again, but instead of going at 60, we're going to try it at 80. Does that sound okay?
Okay.
Okay. Let's play it together once, and then you can go through it as many times as you need. Okay, so this is 8 on a hand at 80. 1, 2, ready, and. Awesome. I'm going to watch you do that a few times, okay? Check your wrist height for me. Yeah, all right. And make sure you keep your thumb and your pointer finger together. 1, 2, ready, and. Yeah, I really loved your stick heights. They're getting a lot better. Let's perform it one more time, and then I think we'll be done for today.
Okay.
I'll count you off. 1, 2, ready, and. Keep your thumb and your forefinger together. Awesome. That looks really good, Kate. Thank you so much for being my student.
Thank you.